So welcome everybody to another question and answer session, Secrets of the Obvious 11. And I must say I am rather surprised at how many people are attending my talks and watching the videos. So what started off as just a small little group of misfits and rogues um, has grown to 900 odd members. So that's quite interesting. That was never my intention. And just for the record, I don't consider myself a teacher at all. I am sharing my understanding purely because the more I share it, the more it reinforces in my awareness. And so I probably am doing it for a very selfish reason. But ultimately, as the Course says, atonement is only for ourselves. So, and we do more by awakening to self than we do trying to physically do anything in the world. And we're aware of that because as each fractured part of ourself heals, so the collective heals too, since there's only one dreamer. The purpose of this talk is just to answer all the myriad of questions that come in, and bear in mind that I have a fairly large following of people who have read my books, and the books are not all to do with the Course in Miracles. In actual fact, only the third book that I've written touches on the non-dual aspect of a course and other non-dual modalities. So I'm not, and I certainly do not consider myself a course teacher, and I'm not participating in course community. So I don't really subscribe to Course in Miracles community. Why? Because I learned from everything. I remember through the experience of what I'm not, and I put things to practice. There's absolutely nothing special about me. Every single person on a spiritual path has some form of mystical spiritual gift. And I was born with more than average curiosity and desire to know the nature of reality. And the gifts that came with it were more of a burden in my childhood than they were a blessing. But as all things with Lou, I quickly learned how to turn them into profit. And so, my psychic abilities bought me my first bicycle and my first motorcycle. So, yeah, there was a benefit to it, but of course, for all the wrong reasons. So let's get started. And again, PG, at least 67 tonight, I think. So if it offends you, we'll tackle that topic of offense in one of the questions. So just sit back and enjoy, and then keep your questions to afterwards, and I'll take a break, and then if you have any questions, please fire away. Whether the question is related to the answers I'm giving tonight, or any other question you may have about your own personal experience, or non-duality, or A Course in Miracles, or any other non-dual book that you may have questions on. So the first question tonight, it came with a long, sad story, and I have deep compassion for this person, but I'll get to the gist of it. She's asking me, is it okay to talk to psychic mediums? She misses her daughter terribly, who passed away 20 years ago, and she just wants to tell her daughter how much she loves and misses her. Here comes the crux. Her daughter was never baptized, and she still feels guilty over this. And she needs to know that her daughter is okay and wants to know if I can help. She cannot attend my live Zoom sessions, which I'm sure she'll watch them later, because her husband prohibits her from watching or talking to psychics, because he's very religious and says that your type of person, obviously referring to me, do the devil's work. But nevertheless, she will really appreciate if I could bring back a message from her daughter. And the first thing I want to say to you is the spirit, the essence, the fractured part of self, which came into this world as your daughter through you, which is still very much a part of you, is in direct communication with you. And of course, you can still talk to your daughter and she can hear you. If you're looking for proof that your daughter is indeed okay, and you find the right kind of medium, psychic medium, who acts from a very deep and compassionate way, then you will have a very fruitful session. As far as the danger of that is that it gets you trapped in the belief that the spirit world is the final destination. And it isn't. And if you still believe that there's hope for you because one day when you die, you're going to go back to the spirit world and you're going to connect with your family and friends and animals and so forth, well, you will, because your belief in it is you've made it real for you. And the very reason you came to or projected into physicality is to transcend the trapped in reincarnation cycle that you've been in for 16 billion years. Spirit world is, yes, it's way more, of course, it's way more peaceful than Earth, and there's nothing dangerous in the spirit world, but there's a sense of frustration. We ask the question there too, what are we doing here? At certain levels of our ascension into awareness in the spirit world, based on the work we've done here, we start to question what that's all about. But yes, it's a peaceful place, and don't be in a hurry whether you have to incarnate another 1,000 times or another one time. You eventually will awaken to self. The collective awakens to self, and the dreamer that dreamt us up, the Holy Son of God, awakens to himself and forgets he's ever dreamt. As far as doing the devil's work is concerned, that's a typical Christian fear-based belief. No one's ever seen the devil. No one's ever met the devil. Some people claim to have been married to her or him, but no one's really ever met the devil. And if there was a devil, then there's some part of God that must be devilish too, because everything is created by God, and would God create something evil? And then, of course, we have the story of the fallen angels. I still dare anyone to go and find that story in the Bible. It doesn't exist. It's Dante's Inferno. That's where they get it from. But ultimately, anyone that teaches anything that's not non-dual and completely atonement-based and love-based is doing the devil's work. Because what is the devil? The devil is an externalization, an externalized projection, identity of ego. That's it. That's what the devil is. So when people say the devil this and the devil that, is no different to non-dualists saying the ego and the ego. There's no devil, and the ego is just an idea. Let's rather focus on our true self, our holy memory, the holy present memory of the Christ self we are and share with God. And yeah, let's not worry about the devil. As far as the message about your daughter is concerned, you know who you are. So your kid, you haven't given me her name, but I'll give it to you anyway. So her name was Kathy. And Kathy died at just over the age of 6. She was just turned just after her 6th birthday, and I get the sense that she was really ill. But yeah, she's great. She came to help you with a lesson of learning to continue courage after extreme loss, and still learning to love and be loving, and bearing in mind that it wasn't, what, 18 months after Kathy's passing, your son was born. And then 2 years later, your next daughter was born. And Josephine was born. And that's Kathy. So in actual fact, that essence energy, spirit that projected in as your first daughter came back as your second daughter. And yet there's still a part of Kathy which projected into this physical form remains in the spirit world. Why? Because it's on playback. And so the essence that you're connecting with, the sense that you get that you're still talking to your daughter in the spirit world, that's the essence of her that's projected. Now, bearing in mind, there's no linear time. Well, time isn't linear like it is in the physical world, in the projection. So an entire lifetime, 100 years on this planet's like 15 minutes in the spirit world. And so the remnant energy of what was Kathy before she projected is what you're still connecting with, and you get that sense of separation. Realize your connectedness to not only Kathy and Josephine, and your son is completely, I can't find him. So he's around, but I can't connect with him. But all three of your children, your husband, your parents, your loved ones, and the whole world, connect with all of it. It's all one indivisible self. When we speak of, and people connect with their deity, their guru that is past, they're actually connecting with a memory of essence energy in the dreaming mind, in the wrong mind. Even when that energy transcends into right-mindedness and dissolves away from wrong mind, not to be found in wrong mind, it's still part of the collective mind in which we're encompassed. And so, of course, that connection's still there, but the connection is you with the rest of your fractured selves. Learn to fully embrace all of it. Just pull it into you. Bring it within you. And join with self and self. And then from that place of love, extend it. So I hope that is going to that answers your question. But yeah, it's all good. Everybody's happy. Okay, this is a funny one, and I'm honestly not sure whether this person's being facetious or just cheeky. And they've asked me why I swear so much. And also, why do I smoke? And here comes the crux. I hope they're joking. You're supposed to be a spiritual teacher. You're supposed to show more empathy towards your sensitive viewers. Sensitive viewers don't follow me. And like I've said earlier on, I am nobody's teacher. I'm not a teacher. I'm not a spiritual person. I don't think of myself as spiritual. I don't practice anything spiritual. Meditation to me is a natural state of awareness. Yes, I do spend a couple hours every morning in silent contemplation and conversation, but I don't think anything spiritual. It's all spirit. There's no such thing as spiritual. I think it's just a false identity again. And I'm not identifying with anything else. I don't call myself my profession. You know, yeah, why do I swear? Most of the time I don't, except when I'm teaching. And the reason I do that is twofold. One, just before you start putting me on this pedestal, you start thinking, oh my gosh, he's really bringing across this gentle Christ. He's bringing through the Holy Spirit. You know, you're thinking I'm channeling something, and you start putting me on a small pedestal, and then I say, fuck. You take me off that pedestal immediately, and I don't want anyone putting me on a pedestal, and I don't want anyone following me. Please don't. Second of all, sensitive people, everybody's sensitive to some level or another. But sensitive people will find everybody finds the most relevant teacher for themselves. Ultimately, there's only one teacher, Christ mind and the holy memory of God within us, Holy Spirit. Follow that teacher, choose that teacher, and then find a teacher or two or three that resonates with you and makes sense. Now, I'll get into the different levels of teaching and the different paths of teaching in one of the following questions. But if you think that sensitivity to and emotions makes you spiritually superior, then you're in deep trouble, because then you're judging, and that's really going to trap you in duality. Second of all, if you think that calling me on my smoking is going to get me to stop, it won't. I only started at 50 and smoking, that is, and I absolutely love the taste of cigarettes. And the way I figure it is, most people try and quit by that in their mid 30s, 40s, and 50s. The way I figure it, by the time I'm 80 something, I'm ready to go anyway. And by then my lungs are properly fucked. So I'm going to keep smoking, and you can shove it. Number two, Number three. If my videos aren't empathetic enough for you and gentle enough for you, why do you follow me? It's like dating someone or marrying someone, then insisting they change. Just either accept it, learn from it, use it as a practice forgiveness, or simply don't watch. I'm not here to teach the esoterical, the mystical. I'm just here to give you plain logic, understanding, clarity. And it's so simple. But we've been so programmed with stories. Think about history of mankind since Jesus. 2,000 years later, stories just get passed on. It gets imprinted in our DNA, genetic coding. And then it just goes from one generation to the next with these preposterous belief systems with no proof. And of course, then we have this idea of belief and faith. If you put your faith in illusions, you put your faith in nothing. And this next question, so question 3, leads on from this one, so I'll add to this. And this lady says she's been watching my videos. You've been watching your YouTube videos since Leon interviewed you. There's a gentle soul. Watch his stuff. He's deeply compassionate. You make perfect sense. Okay, thank you. I love it when people say, you're right, well done, especially on Facebook. Yes, you are right. Thanks for that. Must be school teachers. So you make perfect sense, but you are all intellect. Yeah, correct. I follow the path of Jnani, intellect, understanding. And then she asks, do you have any videos I can watch where it's more about feelings and emotions? No, I don't. Next question. Why do you come watch me if you want the gentle love hugs and kumbaya stuff? This is to bring through understanding, clarity through understanding, and through your understanding in your devotion, the transcendence happens. Realize there's actually there's 4, but let me talk about the 3 main paths to self-awareness, awakening to self-realization. I don't like the word realization because there's no one to realize anything, but it's awakening to self, our true self nature. First, there's the physical devotion path. Take your typical Mother Teresa. They spend their entire lives physically helping others. Of course, there's a certain amount of intellectuality and understanding, and there's obviously deep prayer and there's a love for one another, but that's your typical sort of physical devotion to God is physical devotion to one another, the physical devotion path. That's how they transcend their Christ nature, transcend to their Christ nature by selflessly helping others. They don't give a rat's ass about fashion and possessions. They just come to serve. You just see them. They just give of themselves selflessly. They're all over the world. Beautiful creatures. Secondly, there's the path of sensing feeling. These are the ones that are high empaths. They generally have the psychic ability, the intuitive ability, the extrasensory perception ability. And so as children, they always get bullied and they get ostracized and they feel completely isolated and alone. And their main role is to transcend false empathy. Because remember, when you empathize, you feel someone else's pain. So when they suffer, you suffer. And to transcend empathy into true empathy, and the word for true empathy is compassion. Okay, so and a compassionate being rises above the battlefield and then calls their brothers back up there. Now remember, we cannot bring truth to illusion. We rise towards the darkness, comes towards the light and dissolves. So in the purpose of these projectionists, these that have projected into this physical world, these characters that have projected into form, their transcendence work is by helping raise one another, help raise those that are suffering. And there's some beautiful creatures around there. I think of Keith Kavanagh, Cindy Renard. These are the deep, beautiful, gentle, Leon, for example. They bring through gentle essence energy. I don't. I follow the third path, the path of intellect and understanding. In Advaita, it's called Jnani, the path of mind over matter, the understanding, the unraveling. These are the ones that study the mysteries. They're the mystics of the world. Mystic is just a label, but they're the ones that go and search the nature of reality. They want to know self. They want to know their source, God. They want to know why this is happening. They want to know how to transcend it. And these are the ones that become the authors, the teachers. Why? Because they are constantly refining their understanding through the direct experience. And then they bring it through in words. What's the difference between someone like myself and a Rupert Spira? Pure experience is the only difference. And of course, he's a way gentler being. But we both pursue the path of the direct path of experience, understanding, and then we share it. Does it make any of us more special than the other? No. Fact remains, there's only one destination, regardless of which of the paths you take. Sorry, the fourth path, in case you're wanting to know, is the path of prayer. These are the monks. They're just amongst the priests, those that sit in prayer all day long. If it wasn't for them, this world would just implode into civil war all over again. Okay, so one destination. All four paths really take us to the exact same space we have never left, God's kingdom. We're still pure spirit, abiding in God, dreaming we're somewhere else, not realizing all of us are characters in one dreaming mind. The danger with, as your question was, you want more emotion, you want more empathy, you want more sensitivity. Watch that empathy that becomes false empathy and drags you into suffering. And the next thing you think you're better because you can feel what everybody's pain. And then inevitably you push away and you avoid society and you become reclusive because it's overwhelming. Of course it is. Your little projection can't handle everybody else's emotions too. And so you self-implode. You then start rejecting the world. The minute you reject the world, you're rejecting fractures of yourself. That's like a cancer. So the minute you start rejecting, it's like the body starts fighting the body. And all you're going to do is create illness within your body-mind projection. Be wary of that. Rise above the battlefield, compassion, but don't get sucked into the suffering of others. I hope that clarifies it. And thanks for worrying about my health, but I ain't going to stop smoking. I absolutely love it. Okay, question 4. This one actually came through this afternoon, but I slotted it anyway. This is a question on destiny and the script. So question is everything that happens, for example, accidents with sudden unexpected deaths, always predetermined? It's only unexpected by those living, okay? Everything is perfectly planned. I have heard that there are no accidents, but yet our soul scripts can change cause of our own free will and other person's free will, and perhaps the influence of entities and thought forms as well. Seems contradictory, and I cannot really grasp this. You can't grasp it because you are contradicting yourself. The script is written. No one, not a single soul in this projected form can change the path of anyone else. You can bring through an understanding, but what's going to happen is going to happen. It's scripted, and it's already actually over. It's like watching a movie and expecting you're praying. You're watching a movie, you don't like what you're watching, and you start praying, and the movie doesn't change. And then you come back 2 weeks later and you pray some more, and the movie still ends in exactly the same way. And after the 100th time watching the movie, you're surprised. You're still surprised the movie ends in exactly the same way. You've been doing this for 16 billion years. The script was written, you fell asleep, the script was ended, you woke up. It's over. You're now watching it on recall because you haven't forgiven yourself for dreaming, because you haven't accepted that you're not a body mind and that you're separate from everybody else. You still believe that. You haven't accepted that there's one indivisible self, which is part of one indivisible God, ever extending. And that where God starts and ends, and where you start and end, there's no seam. It's one indivisible self. That's why the Advaita says, I am God. They miss the fact that I cannot say I am God because I'm a dreaming character in the dreaming mind of the Son of God, which is one with God, as a thought in God's mind. It's definitely a step in between there. And then it seems contradictory because you'll never be able to make any sense out of why. And after 3,500 life between life regressions, all 3,500 of my clients over a 10-year period gave me the exact same answer. It's all predetermined. The only choice you have, Holy Son of God, is how you choose to see it. That's the right-minded principle. That's the corrective principle. See again. And that's all you can ask for. Show me another way to see this. And therefore, what's going to happen is going to happen. You're just not going to react to it negatively. Let's say you haven't transcended your body-mind identity. You haven't transcended to self-awareness. And you're going to have a car accident tomorrow. And you lose your leg. You're going to be a miserable git, and you're going to hop around, and you're going to just hate the world, and you're going to spew forth and become an alcoholic and just self-destruct. If you've transcended the non-dual understanding, car accident happens tomorrow, you lose your leg, you just smile, you get a prosthetic, and you run around going beady beady beep and playing at children's parties and making a hell of a fun out of it. Script's written. Whether you're going to eat ice cream today or pizza, that's up to you. It's what's behind the whole thing. The activity in the dream's irrelevant, and nothing's going to change your destiny. And she writes here, I'm rewatching The Crown. Okay, it's obviously a movie. And Princess Diana just died in the car crash in Paris. Princess Diana died? Really? You mean that little princess in England? She dead? I didn't know. In Africa, we don't have television. So no idea she's dead. That was a joke. What's amazing, you still have princesses. Really? You still have princesses. There's still princesses and kings in this world. That's just bizarre. How ridiculous. Okay, so the Princess Diana died in a car crash in Paris and got me thinking about fate and free will. Well, you're straight back to where you were. I got a sense that this accident and her death actually wasn't supposed to have happened. Hey, the entire dream, the entire universe wasn't supposed to have happened. But your little Princess Diana's car accident and death, perfectly planned out by the one that scripted our separation, and then perfectly re-scripted by the Holy Spirit, in which case it brought us back into alignment. How do you know what Diana chose? She chose that body. She chose that life. She chose the beginning. She chose the ending. She chose all of it. Her free will was to choose to see herself within the whole dream as one indivisible self. Whether she got that right or not, well, that's for her to decide. I guess you're going to ask me next whether she got it or not. Well, she was an incredibly sensitive being, and I actually got to meet her when she was doing some landmine clearing in Angola, way back. She was 90s. And it was at a distance because I was doing perimeter guarding in those days. And I could just sense from a distance already that energy was just pure love. But I'm sure she struggled with, I don't know much about her. I'm not a celebrity follower, but I could just sense from a distance there was a deep sense of unhappiness for self still. Hope she got it before she crossed. If not, she'll come back, do it again. I don't know if she's going to come back as a princess. Okay, so the script is written. It's over. You're watching it on a replay. Do not let your ego mind trap you in contemplating the mechanics of illusion. You will go down a rabbit hole like I did for 30 years. Don't do that to yourself. Whenever these questions come, just go into silent stillness, gratitude, rise above the battlefield. Do not get caught up on what happens when we die. What is the spirit world all about? What's the mechanics of it? It's going to trap you. Because ultimately, our greatest fear isn't dying. Our greatest fear is never having existed at all. And that's why people want to know that there's a spirit world, that when this body dies, they're going to go there and it's going to be all harp music and cello and angels and their loved ones are going to be there and you're going to have ice cream and ride unicorns and everything's just going to be la-di-da. How long do you think you can do that for before you get bored? And that's why you reproject, because you still don't know why you're there. And so you will come back. But at the moment of passing, if you're no longer attached to this world in any way, you're not worrying about it, you're not hoping for something, you're not trying to fix something, you're not trying to save something, you realize the whole damn thing, the whole thing, dolphins included, all of it, all the furry cats and dolphins and everything, all of it is in your dreaming mind. And if you awaken yourself, all that energy that is made manifest as people, places, things, and events, cats, dolphins, dogs, unicorns, trees, all of it dissolves into the light of awareness. What does that feel like? I can only tell you what it feels like to be in the awareness of it. The full-on experience of it, if I was there, I wouldn't be informed. So don't get caught up. It's just a little rabbit hole. Just stay above the battlefield, abide, and realize the script is written. Your choice is how to see it again. See it all as a miracle, all as love, or nothing at all. It's either love or it doesn't exist. It's either a miracle or it's not true. Okay. This person then asks me a second question. What are my thoughts about demons? Okay, so what are your thoughts about demons, or whatever one could call them, entities, thought forms? And then this combines with another question that another guy asks and says, I'm getting attacked at night when I dream. And as I dream at night, I get attacked. So don't tell me demons aren't real. He's convinced that demons are real. So these are two questions I've combined into one. Demons, again, just like angels, are concepts. Do they exist in the dreaming mind? Angels, yes. Demons, just angry spirit, okay? But it's not real. The spirit world isn't real. The universe isn't real. This world isn't real. The essence energy of it is real. The essence energy, which is pure love, our life force, the essence energy of God and all of us, that's real. How can a demon harm you? Those of you that are getting attacked by demons at night, and especially it feels like something's pressing on you, something's physically attacking you, and you can't move, like a paralytic dream, you can't move, and there's something on top of you, something trying to choke you, something trying to harm you. I want you to listen to me very closely now. It's not an external entity. It's a past, fractured part of you in your past that has been left behind and hasn't been forgiven. So as you've been transcending this and moving into higher states of awareness, at some stage, you did a quantum leap. You did a quantum jump. And there's a part of you, a memory of you, like we have the concept of inner child. You think about yourself as an inner child in the past, still living within you, that innocent, happy child. Or is it a afraid child that needs to be brought back into happiness? In the same way, there's a part of you that at some stage you did something which you haven't forgiven yourself for, an extremely guilty identity of yourself in the past. Now remember, linear time, the past, the present, the future is actually all right now. But in linear time, the echoes of our eternity seem to still exist in the dream. Hence the memory of a Jesus or a Buddha or a Krishna or a Ramana. The essence of them is now returned to right mind, no longer to be found in the dream. But we are still communicating with these entities while we're in the dream wrong mind. Why? Because their remnants, the echoes of them, are still in the dream. And that's what's happening to you. It's a part of yourself that's afraid of dying because there's a new part of you that is transcended to a new level. And if you pay close attention, you'll notice that as you're transcending and as you're gaining new insights that is lightening up your life, a new sense of reality, a new world happening to you, that's when the attacks come more aggressively. Because it's the old you really starting to fade to gray, becoming a ghost of its former self. And it's in such panic because you're about to leave it behind. You've got to go back to yourself and realize what unforgiven thoughts there are in you. Go back to the images of yourself that you haven't forgiven yourself in time. And all of you will instantly know what I'm talking about. Somewhere in the past, there was you and you felt intense guilt. Go back there and release that guilt. You had to do what you had to do. You had to do whatever it took to survive. Now forgive yourself because none of it was real. True forgiveness is the acknowledgement, I've dreamt this up. This is not true. And all my brothers are one with me, one indivisible self. We are the Holy Son of God, united, one Holy Son of God. And as we dissolve into the I am dissolves into the I, Christ. And once the Christ is awake, the extension of God is awake, it keeps extending the love of God forever. So you're being attacked by past guilt. That's what demons are. Demons are thoughts, thought forms, and they don't take form. Well, of course, when a demon projects into physicality, an angry, unhappy person, part of the script, and they're the tyrants and the ogres in this world. And yet without them, we wouldn't have something to practice forgiveness with. So this world is a world of yin yang. And it's never going to be a peaceful place, because if it was, how would we transcend through forgiveness? If it had nothing to forgive for, why would we come into form? So realize that you can stop those entity attacks simply by going present. Find that memory of yourself that carries guilt. Bring that self back into you. Forgive. You forgive to let go. You forgive to transcend. You forgive to accept self. And then transcend self into the knowing of true self. I hope that clears it up for you. Okay, the next question. And funny enough, I had a conversation with a fellow Course in Miracles student teacher just a couple of days ago. And then I got this letter this morning. And this lady is 92 years old. Wow. Okay. She says her body aches all the time. Yeah, so does mine, and I'm only 56. All the mischief I got up to, you know. So, and here comes the crux. Here's the danger. Okay, so she says, my master Reiki practitioner says that I have unforgiveness memory in my pain body. What should I do? I don't want to reincarnate again. Please, can we do a healing meditation? Please help me. Now, you've been listening to my meditations clearly because you know I do them. Just keep listening to them. You don't need to do another one. But I want to address a few things. Firstly, if you are worrying about reincarnating again, then you're already in the fear of doing it, which means you're in resistance to being here. And the very fact that you're resisting being here means you're going to create more resistance. What you resist persists. And then that resistance is going to cause a sense of anxiety. And the anxiety that you leave this body with is the anxiety you return with. Until you completely let go of all of it and want nothing from any of it. You're not going to miss any of it because you realize all of it is you. I mean, you're not going to miss your mother, your dog, your spouse, your children. You're not going to miss them. As you're crossing, you go, I'm not going to miss them. Why? They're all part of me. I can never miss what's one with me. I don't need to fix the world. I don't need to save anything. It doesn't really exist. It was designed by me in order to escape. And then the Holy Spirit took that very same design and gave it back to me so it could be used for me to realize it's not real. But what's real is the essence energy in which all of it is sustained, because we're in the dreaming mind of the Holy Son of God. We are the Holy Son of God. So don't resist and don't go, oh, I don't want to come. You know what I've noticed in my regression work was those that really don't want to come back are the ones that do. And they can't wait to come back because they think the next time around they're going to get the formula better. You never get the formula right. You never. Until you realize self. And then there's no more formula. And then you surrender because you seek first the kingdom of heaven. And then you get so much more than you've ever imagined you could get in ways that you could never imagine you'd get it. And then all those things you wanted, you don't want anyway, because you realize why you wanted them. You wanted those things because you thought they were going to make you happy. But when you finally become happy, which is the knowing of self, that's what happiness is. True happiness is just knowing the essential nature of self, which is Christ's self. You don't want for anything. And then it comes. And it's quite interesting. Yeah, like, okay. Then something I need to address. Tell your Reiki practitioner that you're just mirroring her. She has unforgiven memories in her pain body. That's why she's a Reiki practitioner. And that's why she needs lots of patience, because she's rather stubborn. And she's not going to like it when you tell her that. But you tell her that anyway. And so she needs more mirrors to show her stubbornness. And she thinks she's got her hands, and her hands are healing, and there's some energy flowing from wherever through her body, and now she's healing. Hey, all of it is self. All of it is God. Healing is all around you. What is illness? It's the resistance to what is. What is disease? It's unforgiven thought. But okay, now you're 90 something years old and your body aches. Of course it is. This mechanism, this device we made for separation isn't designed to last. It's natural that its joints are going to go, its muscles are going to ache. And of course, if you've done silly things when you were younger, like I did, crash off a motorcycle 300 k's an hour, and 25 years of kickboxing and karate, I mean, of course things hurt later on. I mean, my last crash at Kyalami was a good 180 k's an hour around turn one, and I went flying for a good 150 meters and broke my foot and torn ligaments, and that was only a couple of years ago. And so, hey, of course my foot hurts. It's If you look carefully at the pains, you'll realize I've done this unto myself. And even if you did nothing, I projected this unto myself. And just abide in silent stillness and give gratitude that the pain is there, meaning I'm now aware of being aware. And I'm aware that I'm not this. I'm not this pain. I'm not that which feels pain. I'm that which observes this projection of myself, experiencing what appears to be separation, pain, sin, fear, guilt. But all of it, in actual fact, is me. And I take full accountability for having dreamt the whole thing up. And therefore, I take full accountability for awakening to self. Because when I awaken to self here, I share this awake essence with all of my cells. And for each one of us that awakens to self, we awaken the collective. Abide, meditate, contemplate. The purpose of meditation, well, what people call meditation, is actually the furthest thing from meditation. It's not sitting in a circle with your legs folded. What the fuck's that about? Why do you, I mean, that's people in the East sit with their legs folded. Why? Because they don't have chairs. We have chairs. You don't have to sit with your legs folded. It's not more spiritual, upright. Yes, it's better than lying down because at least you stay present. But hey, lean up against a chair. You don't have to cross your arms or legs or anything. You have to breathe in a special way. You're not a body. You're spirit. What does it matter what the body does? Sit in the most comfortable way you can. You have to face east or the sun, or it's just all nonsense. It's ritualistic nonsense that lost people in translation that need attention, create these modalities so that people think they're more spiritual. And all they're really trying to do is get laid. That's it. All of them are looking for a husband or they're trying to get laid. That's all they do. That's the only reason they do it. Popularity. They just wanted to be famous, rich actors, but they couldn't make it. So now they want to be Reiki masters. Have you noticed every Reiki there's no Reiki practitioners. There's only Reiki masters. The fuck? Seriously? So you study for 3 months and now you're a master. My Aikido sensei, who was a 7th Dan Akidoka, he was a Reiki practitioner. He'd been practicing Reiki for 47 years. Didn't call himself a master. And he could throw me around a room like a rag doll. So get rid of all of that nonsense. Yes, there are those compassionate people that are drawn to something like hands-on healing or Reiki or breath work or whatever. The point is they are just natural born healers. They're not trying to be anything. And they're certainly not projecting their shit onto you. If your Reiki practitioner is judging you, find another one. Purpose of meditation. Meditation means awareness. You don't practice awareness. You are awareness. You don't practice meditation. You are meditation. It's just a sense of self, an awareness of spaciousness, an extension of self. Chop wood, fetch water, feed the kittens, aware. Before that, you chopped wood, fetched water, feed the kittens, and you were grumpy. Now you're aware. And some days it rains and some days it's sunny. And some days the cat is happy to see you, and sometimes the cat runs away. And sometimes the axe is sharp and sometimes it isn't. And sometimes the water is muddy and sometimes it's clear. Nothing affects you anymore. Purpose of awareness, meditation, is to be aware you are awareness itself. It's the essence, the essential nature of our true self, extending permanently as the love of God. Remember, God hasn't stopped extending just because his son is dreaming. God is still extending, and his son is extending in God too, unaware that he's extending. That's why the universe is still growing, because his son is extending. Therefore, the mind of the son grows too, even though he's unaware that he's dreaming. Abide. Abide. Just sit. Start with gratitude. Show me another way to see this. How can I be truly, truly helpful? Where would you have me be? Where would you have me go? To whom would you have me speak? What would you have me say? Yes, in the beginning, it's about aligning with God. And the course doesn't use the word surrender, because we know new students are going to think of surrender as giving up. But at some stage, you let go completely. And that is full surrender. Let go. Into your hands, I command my spirit. You are spirit, and you abide in me. I am spirit and abide in you. And I let go, and I let God. And I allow this to come through. And what happens is the essential nature of our true self comes through. And before you know it, we're being ourselves knowingly, with total clarity, complete conviction. The pains are there. We take the pills we need to take. We get the massages we need to massage, and we let go. And if the pain persists, we go and look. We go and look, and we go and find the memory that it's trying to bring into your awareness. And we forgive the memory because it never really happened. And we're grateful for the pain because it brings the memory into the awareness. And you realize, if I forgive and let it go, I don't have to come back and do the scan. Hope that helps. Let's take a break and do some questions of the group.